This is news from the water.
Towpath tragedy at Aylesbury.
First, the tragedy that occurred on the Towpath near Aylesbury, where a member of Canal and River Trust's workforce was found with serious injuries. He died soon after the lunchtime assault, despite the best efforts of paramedics. A 34-year-old man of no fixed address was arrested early on Tuesday morning on suspicion of murdering the canal worker who died following an assault. A 41-year-old woman had been arrested soon after the death on suspicion of assisting an offender and perverting the course of justice. Police said they found the man with serious injuries after being called to the Grand Union Canal near Broughton in Aylesbury at 12:20 p.m. on Monday. Canal and River Trust confirmed the man was part of its team and on duty at the time. Richard Parry, the Trust's chief executive, said the Trust was deeply distressed and was sharing the police's appeal, urging anyone with information, no matter how insignificant, to come forward and assist the investigation. I am sure you will join me in offering our thoughts and sincerest condolences at this extremely distressing time for his family and our colleagues, he added. Thames Valley Police has not yet named the dead man, but said his family was being supported by officers. Appealing for witnesses, Detective Chief Inspector Andy Sherwood said the canal path was a very popular leisure route for walkers, runners and cyclists, and that he wanted to appeal to anyone who was in the area or who's heard or saw anything unusual to contact the force.
These people are fighting back.
Sometimes the wrong words at the wrong time can have consequences, as CRT's Director for London and the South East discovered in a Zoom briefing last week when she labelled London's protesting boaters as these people. The description swiftly became a hashtag and was then proudly adopted as a badge by the London Boaters Facebook group, which now declares it is heading London Boaters, we are these people. Clearly we are never going to please these people, were the unfortunate words of Ross Daniels, Director of London and South East, after a shambolic briefing on safety zones. A contentious issue which has already sparked a protest cavalcade of boats on the River Lee just days earlier. Someone asked the attendees whether they felt the meeting had been satisfactory, a question which was met with a resounding no. That led to Miss Daniels' "these people" comment about her boating customers. Now, such a dismissive attitude about a core customer group would not be career enhancing in any other industry, and brings to mind the outrage when CRT's boating and engagement manager repeatedly denied claims that he'd described liveaboard boaters as gits. MJ Morgan, who runs the Widgeon Airwaves radio station, which broadcasts this news bulletin each week and is based on the Widgeon theatre boat, described the Zoom meeting as interesting and sad, pointing out that CRT had failed to bridge the communication gap between the organisation and boaters by failing to answer any of the questions put to them. Another liveaboard boater, Amy Everard, said she genuinely found the whole thing quite upsetting.
That an organisation that is meant to support and represent your community could run such a poorly managed meeting and make you feel completely unheard and unimportant. It's very alienating. Well done to those that spoke up on our behalf. You did a great job, and I for one am glad to be one of these people.
I have a suspicion that badges, t-shirts and other merchandise may well follow to memorialise Miss Daniels' words, and that CRT's Zoom meeting has done nothing to calm the situation.
Aaron Calder breach repair gets underway 4 months later.
A major breach of the Aire Calder, one of the few waterways still used commercially, is finally to start being fixed, 4 months after it happened. It may be reopened by mid-August. Canal and River Trust describe it as a major project, costing up to £3 million, and says that the 4 months delay has allowed for detailed inspections and surveying by its team of engineers. The breach happened at Newbridge between Southfield Reservoir and Goole after heavy rains last December, and a helicopter was called in to dump 240-ton bags of stone around the breach, which had swept away a 20-metre section of embankment. Contractors Kia and Arcadis have been hired for what CRT describes as a permanent and complex repair programme. Sean McGinley, CRT Yorkshire and North East Director, said climate change and the increase of extreme weather events were an increasing problem for the Trust, pointing to last year's £3.4 million repair programme to figure of 3 locks on the Calder and Hebble navigation.
Lockdown makeover for Visitor Centre.
The visitor centre at Trevor Basin has been given a facelift by volunteers during lockdown. The centre, which welcomes hundreds of thousands of visitors to the UNESCO World Heritage Site at Poncasilty Aqueduct, now has new hanging flower pots and tree planters and a fresh look both inside and out. Always look on the bright side of life. Despite murder, mayhem and a waterway system that now seems close to being inoperable, it's worth remembering that for most boaters, all those problems go away once they're on the stern of their vessel, the sun is shining, and they can finally chug along the canal of their choice in blissful peace. I took a camera out to the Shropshire Union a few days ago, and it was a reminder that boating and waterways bring happiness amidst the chaos of COVID, the concerns of the everyday, and the fears that sometimes seem all-consuming these days. There were harboats heading through a lock after their first real breakaway for months, with happy smiling people, clearly delighted to be out in some magnificent countryside. There were boat owners filling and emptying their vessels before moving on to the next mooring in a Staffordshire village, town, or simply somewhere with a superb view across to Cannock Chase perhaps. There were gongoozlers, dog walkers, cyclists and grandparents showing small grandchildren the ducks and geese. There were day boaters, clearly novices, pulling up at a canal-side pub for a lunchtime drink and a bite to eat, a process that may have taken some time, but just normal things, the things that have been denied us for so long. On a sunny spring day on this canal, nobody really cared that almost all north-south canal routes were blocked by Canal and River Trust stoppages. They weren't offended by a senior CRT manager's ill-judged words, and they had no idea of the tragedy that was to play out on a canal towpath in the south of England. Their only focus was the sheer enjoyment that comes from being out on the water. That's it.
Do you have news for us? Contact Peter Underwood by email at peterunderwood2@gmail.com.